All right, you Divine Lions and Lionesses, Send Sunday is back with $173 an ounce silver hitting in the U.S. on Friday night. Where are we with the $27,000 per ounce gold prophecy? When do we feel we'll hit that target? Because the Black Swan event is right here upon us. President Trump has his royal flush. Jassara is real, as I've kept showing you, proving it. We'll continue to do so now. And did banks really halt in America purchases of silver and gold last week? We'll talk about the 51st state as well as the geopolitical shifts which are shaping the new reality. So we've went from stability to a lot of volatility in the Aquarian age in this ascension. Stay tuned, share this everywhere with Patriots. We'll see you in the live chat very shortly. Hey, welcome back to the Sovereign Soul Show. All of you Divine Lions, Lionesses, Brad Wozny, your host. As you know, I volunteered, signed up to the Canadian Infantry Militia, trained as a combat soldier, thinking that what I was born in, raised in, was a country of Canada. It turned out to be a crown corporation of business. Fought fires as a fire ranger, Ontario Ministry of Natural Resources. So my salute to all the first responders, soldiers, and law enforcement officers. It was an amazing job hopping out of helicopters, fighting forest fires all across the province of Ontario and the Yukon up along the Alaska border. And then you also know about my awakening experience too, being witness and privy to, having worked at Wall Street and down on Broadway, West 57th and Broadway for a few years, as well as tasked to our Department of Defense team at the United States government through the high-tech company I worked for. And then being there for rescue efforts going on at Ground Zero, flown up to Washington, and then later I was 18 stories under the Pentagon. So we talk about Black Swan events. I've seen several in my lifetime. We are living in one right now. I'm going to tell you the definition of a Black Swan event because we didn't learn this when I was accepted to go to Wilfrid Laurier University, which in the 90s was considered the Harvard Business and Economics School of the North for Canada. So I went there to do an honors economics degree and never heard of what Black Swan event means. This is the actual definition of a Black Swan event. If you ask Google Gemini AI, it says Black Swan event is an extremely rare, unpredictable occurrence that has severe and widespread consequences. The term was popularized by statistician and former trader Nassim Nicholas Taleb in his 2007 book, The Black Swan, The Impact of the Highly Improbable. So here we are. Number one, there's defining characteristics, three of them. One is a rarity, the outlier. It lies far outside the realm of normal expectations. No past experiences can convincingly point to its possibility. Number two, extreme impact. When it occurs, it brings catastrophic and paradigm-shifting results which transform economies, societies, and/or worldviews. And three, retrospective predictability. After the fact, humans concoct explanations to make it seem like the event was predictable and explainable all along a hindsight basis. So 2020, oh yeah, that makes sense. Before that, let's take a look at a few historical examples of Black Swan events. Still, this is provided by Google Gemini AI. Number one, 2008 global financial crisis. They say triggered by collapse of the U.S. housing bubble and major banks like Lehman Brothers. And that's when you had to do too big to fail, got to bail out the banks, right? With Bush 2. Then you have, again, what happened with the inside job, both in New York and the Pentagon, as we've covered many times here. The dot-com bubble was also described as a Black Swan event, the rise of the internet, and the fall of the Soviet Union in 1991. Do you know what all so happened, everybody? 25 years ago, as of yesterday, 25 years ago, as of yesterday, was when Operation Desert Storm kicked off. So a quarter of a century ago, in Iraq, the invasion, the liberation for Kuwait kicked off. So here we are, talk about Black Swan events. And right now, we're sitting here with silver. People are like, Brad, I went to check the spot price on silver and it's still sitting there at like $93 spot. And you said it's $173 an ounce right now. Well, that was the repricing, the revaluation by the United States Treasury of American silver bullion on a spot price per ounce if you want to buy it from them. So let me show you the full-on fact that the United States Treasury has with the US Mint priced silver right now at $173 an ounce. So we're on the usmint.gov website, and you've got the American Eagle 2024. This is, again, the America 250. You see the countdown to America's 250. That is July 4th of this year. Amazing. And we have 1 ounce for $169, an American Eagle 2025, 1 ounce for $173, another American Eagle 2024, 1 ounce for $173. And it continues on. So you go between and vacillate between $169 an ounce to $173 an ounce for silver right now. And what's amazing, everybody, and just in case you want to have the proof of that, here we are on Wikipedia about the United States Mint. So the United States Mint is a bureau of the Department of the Treasury responsible for producing coinage for the United States to conduct its trade and commerce, as well as controlling the movement of bullion. The U.S. Mint is one of 2 agencies that manufactures physical money. The other is Bureau of Engraving and Printing, which prints paper currency. And again, as I've shared many times over the last 2 years in the show in particular, the first United States Mint was created in Philadelphia in 1792. That's where we get the Coinage Act of 1792, and was soon joined by other centers whose coins were identified with their own mint marks. There are currently 4 active coin-producing mints: Philadelphia, Denver, San Francisco, and West Point. That's right. The West Point Mint is a U.S. mint production and depository facility erected in 1937 near the United States Military Academy in West Point, New York. As of July 2025, the facility held 54,067,331 troy ounces of fine gold, which is amazing and represent 22% of the United States gold as of 2019, 54 million troy ounces of gold. Wow. If you saw the show I did with Bishop Jim O'Connor on Fuck It Friday regarding FAFO, the spirited Christ aspects of the word fuck and how it can be used benevolently, that is a West Point military 1976 graduate right there, Bishop Jim O'Connor, as well as you've seen multiple times on the show, Lieutenant General Thomas McInerney. Every one of the boys in the McInerney family since the Revolution attended West Point Military Academy, and he retired as 3-star United States Air Force, number 2 in the Air Force, and he was also the head of the Chief of Staff. And, of course, the incredible national treasure as well, Major General Paul E. Valley, U.S. Army retired, 1961 West Point grad, and best friends with Lieutenant General Thomas McInerney. So at 86, at 88, these men are still sending it, like Bishop Jim you saw here on the show on Friday, 48 hours ago, still sending it at 72, bench pressing 320 pounds, upwards of 39 times. So those generations, the greatest generations, are what I'd like for all of us to embody ourselves after, because we are here in the Black Swan event. You are watching it right now. And in case you missed the comms, the United States Mint, through the United States Treasury, repriced the silver spot price per ounce, the Treasury, at $169 to $173 an ounce. We are back, baby, and that is amazing. So congratulations to everybody. And we're going to continue on here because we have rumors that banks were actually on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday in America. Rumors, which I've been working to qualify for everyone right now. Banks were blocking the ability for you to buy silver and gold. They don't want you taking your paper fiat currency and the ones and zeros in your bank account ledger, apparently, allegedly, and buying precious metals with it. Here's a video. This woman did a great job with it. She's actually an economist herself. I'm going to share it with you right now so you can see it on Twitter X. Taylor Kenny, listen to her share with you the news, which she has reported is happening.
Right now, they are blocking the exits into gold and silver, aka capital controls, or banking restrictions on how you can spend your money. Let me explain. I work for a full-service gold and silver, physical gold and silver dealer. And today we had multiple clients who are trying to wire us funds to purchase gold and silver to escape the failing fiat system And guess the banks are no longer allowing the wires to go through, not just to us, but to any precious metals companies. The official reason they're giving is because they're worried about fraud, about scammers out there. And it's not to say that there aren't any in the space, but to have these banks put in a blanket policy, no precious metals, no gold or silver at all, they don't want you outside their system. They want to keep you in the fiat system. If you transfer your wealth into physical gold and silver, they're no longer making a fee off of you. They can't control you. They can't freeze or seize your assets. The illusion that they have built is crumbling because more and more people are waking up. But we've seen how this plays out in other countries, whether it's China or Cyprus with bank bail-ins, or even in Spain with cash transaction limits. It begs the question, is your wealth really yours if you can't access it, or if you are told how you can and can't spend it? My advice to everyone is just to make sure you have something outside of their system, because once they decide they want to close all of the exits, it will be too late.
Yep, it'll be completely too late. So anywhere that you can, and by the way, virtually every retailer around the world is out of gold and silver, mostly palladium and platinum as well, and copper is starting to sell out too. And there are even 3-month delivery delays on purchases that are made at retailers right now. So we are aligned with Goldco as our partner. They are #1 customer service, voted, have 8,000 5-star reviews. Here's the website link on the screen. It's also below the description, because they are the largest precious metals exchange dealer for Americans, from what I've seen right now, who have had billions of dollars of silver, gold, and precious metals purchased for them. What's great if you're American is they can help you roll over your IRA penalty free. They can give you discussions and advice on the 401k as well as direct purchases. Now, when you go to BuddhaLovesGold.com, you will see my picture. That's me on the screen, right? Brad Wozny, and I've got the half maple leaf, half star spangled banner, Old Glory on my chest plates patch, which I love that patch, the half and half, because we are united as a continental army of brothers and sisters of the light, which is what it's all about. And you know, President Trump loves silver and gold. We're going to be talking about this throughout the rest of tonight's Send It Sunday. And I want to thank everybody for coming in here, because we are still completely visibly throttled. Grok confirmed it again 2 hours ago on X. We are visibly throttled on purpose on X. I guess it's legacy code, it believes. So please just hit like, subscribe, share this, get this out everywhere, because there's some stuff you will never hear here on the Sovereign Soul Show, rather than just the normal media outlets, or that even the truther media that are just like so myopically focused on patriot this and whatever. We've got to go full on in the spiritual awakening, embrace everybody. All right. This is amazing, folks. This is absolutely incredible. You are living in the Black Swan event. It just happened on Friday after markets closed with the U.S. Mint. We'll be right back after this message. All right, you sovereign souls, now is the time to protect your money with gold and silver if you already have not. And if you are and you have a chance to do so, I highly encourage to do so even more, because gold and silver will launch the golden age, which Commander-in-Chief Trump has continuously referenced.
The dollar is going down, and it's not a pretty picture, and it's not being sustained by proper policy and proper thinking. This was an opportunity, and maybe an opportunity to show people what's happening with the dollar so that we can do something about it.
Get some if you can. BuddhaLovesGold.com will take you to our partner Goldco. They have over 6,000 5-star reviews. This is why now is the time to buy gold and silver, because we have thousands of Americans buying gold today. The rising inflation has reduced our purchasing power. Dysfunctional politics don't work for us. The US dollar has lost over 97% of its value since 1913, while the price of gold has increased over 9,000%. Silver has fared well against the dollar too, with the silver price increasing over 4,500% since 1913. It's about wealth protection. Physical precious metals act as a hedge against dips in volatile markets. Go over to BuddhaLovesGold.com. That's www.BUDDHA, BuddhaLovesGold.com. You will download your free silver and gold guide today, and our great people over there at Goldco will take care of you. That's BuddhaLovesGold.com. You'll see a picture of me right on there, Brad Wozny. And once again, BRICS is the new financial system. Asset-backed precious metals is the way of the future. This is about financial control. Diversifying your assets with gold and silver puts you in control of your wealth at BuddhaLovesGold.com. We're back. So grab a hold of BuddhaLovesGold.com. That link takes you right over there. Get the free report. Plus, you can also contact them toll free as soon as they open again tomorrow on Monday. It's 4:16 Central Time, 5:16 Eastern Time right now. Get the report, get in line. By the way, there are people who are waiting in line, still trying to get silver, gold at retailer outlets, and they're selling out all across the way because they see the disparity. Just so you know, right now in Shanghai, 1 ounce of silver is selling for $120 an ounce. Now that moved from $101 an ounce at the close of markets on Friday, and then the U.S. Mint went 173, and then Shanghai went, oh, okay, then we'll come up to 120. All of that happened. This is the Black Swan event you are living through. Now remember, it's only been 17 days ago on January 1st, or relatively 18 full days to today, January 18th, where we have seen China block and halt exports on silver all across the world. And this is one of the largest, if not the largest by some reports, producer and exporter of silver on the face of the planet, responsible for 70% of the world's silver supply. And they halted it. They cut it off. And one of the only ways you could export silver out of China right now is if you are a refinery in China and you have the ability to make a minimum of 80 tons, mine a minimum of 80 tons or 173,000 pounds of silver annually. That is just one of the requirements to get a special export license. So we know the power of silver. Not only is it a squeeze or a shockwave, it is a slingshot, which is the canary in the proverbial coal mine right now. So get your hands on silver and gold. We'll talk about the $27,000 gold prophecy in the target a little bit later as we move forward, because this is the metal war that everybody has been waiting for. However, the small guy, the little guy on the corner, the mom, the dad, etc., and the family, if they're not awake to this yet, all of the silver and gold and palladium and platinum and other metals, including copper, which is very, very powerful and required for industrial applications, military applications, is getting sucked up faster than Hooper vacuum. And London vaults at the LME and LBMA are empty. I just heard that on Friday, empty. So I'm waiting for second and third party verification for that. And COMEX now is incredible because they just had 42 million troy ounces of silver that they shipped out of their vaults already by January 16th. And it's never been seen before in the first month, even the first 2 weeks of a new year, where they're shipping even half of that out. And that's in the COMEX vaults in the United States. Being everybody's doing not a capital call, they're doing their precious metals call for the margin calls to cover. It's incredible where we are right now. But I want to transition. Speaking of China, speaking of metal wars, this is also in the geopolitical landscape, what you're seeing. And going right back to my roots, myself as a fellow Albertan, thank you all the Albertans out there who have been signing that independence and the referendum petition, which has been going on. I think there's no better video to explain it if you haven't seen it than the greatest man in Alberta, right? The most Albertan man in the world. I'll pull that video up here and show it to you in just a moment. But if you haven't seen it and you don't know what's going on, I mean, it is off the freaking hook, because the Cuck Carney went over to China and Beijing and had a meeting, and it's made it all over. So Elon, Cat Turd, other big accounts like Alex Jones, you name it, have been talking, can't stop talking about this, that he is bringing in the one China policy. So I'm going to play this video that was on Alex Jones just 2 days ago about what is taking place in America. You want to be aware of this because Steve Bannon on his War Room on Saturday, yesterday, and on Friday night was saying Canada is the next Ukraine based on what you see in this video right here of the Prime Minister of Canada, the guy who doxed all of us in the Freedom Convoy, who said shut them down, shut their bank accounts, and go round them up and throw them in prison. This guy, that's who we're talking about.
It's the first visit of a Canadian Prime Minister to China in nearly a decade. The world has changed much since that last visit. And I believe the progress that we have made in the partnership sets us up well for the new world order. The partnership with new focus and greater depth and a sense of purpose.
I mean, he could not have said that in a more
realizing its promise.
Villainous way. Can we go back 10 seconds? It's one thing if you're like, this new world order that we're creating, but he's like the new world order. This is like villain stuff. Let's watch that again.
For the new world order.
What?
It's a partnership with new focus and greater depth and a sense of purpose. And I look forward to realizing its promise and building on it in the years to come. Partnership that leverages our strengths to create greater stability, security, sustainability, and prosperity for all our peoples. And I look forward to this working session to advance those objectives. Thank you very much.
I don't know who that guy next to him was. Scott Moe, I think his name was. I just want to figure out whether the look he was giving him was, what the hell did you just say? The New World Order? Or whether that was, we're not supposed to say that.
Signatures for the independence petition in one day. The media said it was a small fringe minority. He said that was a funny way to spell thousands. Collected 1,000 signatures for the independence petition in one.
All right, back to back right there. So you have the antithesis of Satanism, which is what Carney's all about, the tyranny, the euthanization of its people, execute 14.7 million Canadians as it came out through Public Health Canada, leaked document, the guide to execute 14.7 million Canadians, leaked, right? Just over 2 months ago. We shared it here as well. Versus freedom, sovereignty, liberty, right? Free agency, small governance with the most Albertan man in the world. So that's where we are to bring everybody up to speed. And it's amazing. And whoever puts those videos together does such a great job. And it's still very real. The threat is extremely real. Let's just take a look at this for an example of, the talking out of both sides of your mouth, right? And which is typical what the Satanists want to do for a control standpoint. So we're going over here to end wokeness, great account on X. And here it is. Here's PM. It says PM Carney for Prime Minister Carney pre-election 2025, just a year ago. Not even this is 10 months ago in April, and not even 9. And our biggest security threat is China. And then PM Carney post-election 2026, our partnership with China sets us up well for the new world order. Here it is, split screen, side by side. You get to hear it in his words right here.
I think the biggest security threat to China, Canada is China. We're heartened by the leadership of President Xi Jinping.
And that's what you just saw, right? Now, there was a joint statement that was issued on the China-Canada leaders meeting, right? And here's what that statement says, which is interesting because on the Canada government side, they don't highlight what the Chinese government had said. So thankfully for Table Salt, I believe you're right up in Alberta. Thanks for posting this. Here it says, wow, the Chinese version of the China-Canada joint statement states Canada reaffirmed its long-standing commitment to its one China policy. Canada's version contains no mention of this. Did Canada secretly sell out to Taiwan? See the comments. Now, we're going to open this statement. You can see it right here. Canada reaffirmed its longstanding commitment to one China policy. And Secretary Duffy, who is the Secretary of Transportation in America, had something to say about it right after that, because Carney went, all right, well, you can bring in 41,000 Chinese electric vehicles. Now, these are the same electric vehicles completely banned by the country of Israel, the BYD, Bravo Yankee Delta, right? BYD, which is now the largest EV company in the world. It's larger than Tesla now for making electric vehicles. It's moving to an all silver battery. Silver, there it is again, all silver battery. And the world supply of silver on an annualized basis, which is extracted from the ground and available for all applications, from jewelry to military and AI supercomputers and commercial applications, is roughly 813 million ounces. BYD, the company in China that makes these electric vehicles, just said it will take 20% of the world's silver supply. Samsung, that makes the phones. Everybody's carrying around Samsung phones. A lot of people are. Samsung, that's making the specialized silver battery for the BYD, is going to take 20% of the world's silver. So 40% of the world's silver supply by two Chinese companies right there. BYD is Chinese and Samsung Japan, to do this, to manufacture. So there's 60% left for the rest of the world. And this is what Secretary Duffy says about the Chinese EVs, because Israel banned them for their high threat and security risk.
Brothers and sisters to the north, I'm from northern Wisconsin, and I'm not going to accuse them of making the smartest decisions all the time. I think they will live to regret the day they partner with China in bringing in their vehicles. I love my brothers and sisters.
So there you go. And if any Canadian tries to cross the border to America before we're all back to one America, you can't do it in those EVs. They won't allow it because of the security threat, right? And there's also a lot of stability issues, they say, on the batteries. So here's what it gets down to, right? This is what it gets down to right now, 100%. You know, you either stay and live in China, which I've been calling it here for nearly 4 years on the show, right? You stay and live in China, and this is going to be your new $20 bill, or you go with truth and sovereignty and independence and you go for the top. You have a vote towards Trump. You have a literal vote towards First Amendment, free speech, the Second Amendment, and everything wonderful about common law. No more getting rid of all the admiralty law as you return to a republic, not a democracy. A democracy is mob rule. It's the lowest form of governance whatsoever, and it's also hierarchical that way. You go back to a true republic, and that's what President Trump is bringing in. And by the way, this is what it looks like, because they're sitting here saying, Alberta, if they go out of Canada, they're landlocked. They have no way to do their trade. Well, look at this. Turns out it's 83% of all the exports and imports from Alberta in and out are from the States. You know, not a lot of, you know, cows or chickens from the Yukon or Saskatchewan or BC coming in and out of Alberta. And Alberta produces 91% of Canada's oil. So good things for us Albertans. It's fantastic. If anybody wants to have a little joke here, take a screenshot of this. Cat Turd posted it saying liberals in Canada actually think this is a win. Oh, so they head on over, and now they're just aligning with them. And part of the alignment in this agreement, everybody, which is another big reason why Steve Bannon on War Room said Canada is the next Ukraine. This is the number one security threat. We did the Canasuela show just over a week ago and a half ago, myself and Dan Oak, and shared with you, here you are. You have the number one greatest terrorist haven of any Western nation is Canada, with over 4,000 reported by CSIS reports of an OGCs, organized criminals and gangs and terrorist networks in the borders of Canada, Crown Corporation. Yet you have those mastard micropenis retards whether it doesn't matter that they belong to a party because it's all just in here and in here. They have no heart, they're soulless, and they're sitting here going, let's go mutilate children. Let's go euthanize children and harvest their organs, and let's go tax each other at 93%. So for every dollar made by a Canadian right now, 93% of it is gone to taxes. So they're left with 7 cents, right? So you might as well work for 11 months and 1 week a year full time, give it up to all forms of the government cabal, and then you turn around, you live on what's left over. And that's what it's about. And I love this image here, right, of Canada, Alaska, United States, and Greenland. We're going to go to Greenland in a moment, but I want to acknowledge all of you. I was just on the phone with Norman Traversy right before coming on here. He wants to thank everybody for the support for the last minute show we did this week, where he had 3 Ottawa Police Services cops outside his door. Norman was barricaded inside, fearing for the arrest. Then right after that, in their presence and outside of it, he was assaulted by 3 people, strangled, arm wrenched, chest pains, bleeding from his ear. And then on top of that, while he got away, he slipped on ice and smacked his head very badly. So I want to give a shout out to the amazing Swiss Hotel and the owners who are assisting Norman Traversy right now. That amazing Swiss Hotel, which is the headquarters for the Canada Freedom Convoy in Ottawa. Amazing people that they are. Thank you for helping Norman. Thank you for all who called Norman, reached out to Norman right after that show, donated to him, because here we are, everybody, around the world. James Bowder is the architect of the Canada Freedom Convoy, been on the show several times, still living in exile in the States because there's still a national warrant out for his arrest to throw him in prison, maximum security prison for 15 years, simply because he came up with the idea of filling Ottawa with semi-trucks. And we just saw on Friday, the second time, not the first, the second time, the Supreme Court of Canada said, yeah, you know what? We ruled it completely unreasonable, which is their nice, polished way of saying it was illegal and unlawful to invoke the Emergencies Act, to murder a Canadian and trample one, to nearly murder another one and trample it, to steal, theft, to harm people, to have automatic weapons by the RCMP and other militarized members, and point them at men, women, and children, which you can't do. That's actually a federal crime, right? If you have automatic weapons fully loaded and you are aiming them at a civilian population, you go to jail for that. That's a crime, right? But it's okay for them. So they just ruled that that was unreasonable. Yeah. And then let it go away, because now they have the one China policy. Here's what they fear. They fear the military tribunals, which are going on, which are still active, which Bishop Jim and I talked about on Friday on that show. You can go ahead and you can look it up and watch that on Rumble or YouTube right here just 48 hours ago, because they fear this. They fear what's happening in Greenland is about to happen to the cabal and the deep state and the squeeze across Canada. And when we look at this, let's go to a clip from President Trump talking about Greenland right now, because Greenland has a $2.3 trillion in just resources. And we've seen that the offer's been levied on the table of a $720 billion offer, and American money at par. So think about that, Canadians, where the Canadian dollar dropped to 72 cents. Let's just imagine, for all the benevolent Canadians, you are offered $1 million to join America, right? And you get First Amendment rather than the deep state surveillance state that's now in the One China agreement that's happening right now, where Carney gave everybody's information up to China, and China, with their Fuzhou police stations all across Canada right now, are monitoring Canadians. They're monitoring you and everything you do, and getting prepared, likely to come in and arrest you in your homes right now because you disagree with the state narrative. So this is what President Trump says about Greenland, and this is what's in store for all the great Canadians as well, to secure the Western Hemisphere through the Monroe Doctrine and the Donroe Doctrine, and make America, the continent, America, great again, peaceful and prosperous for us all. Here he is.
NATO has been dealing with us on Greenland. We need Greenland for national security very badly. If we don't have it, we have a big hole in national security, especially when it comes to what we're doing in terms of the Golden Dome and all of the other things. We have a lot of a lot of investments in military. We have got the strongest military in the world, and it's only getting stronger. And you saw that with Venezuela. You saw that with the attack on Iran, with the knocking out their nuclear capability potentially. So yeah, we're talking to NATO. We're gonna see.
So we talked about the Golden Dome, and Gene Decode and I have had 2 shows regarding the Golden Dome. You can look at that. And the Golden Dome is yes for security, and it's also about peace, because this is Jassara, right? You are living in the Black Swan event in Jassara, the Global Economic Security and Reformation Act. And part of Jassara is to bring eternal peace. And here it is, just the other day at the White House, you saw the woman who was granted in Venezuela the Nobel Peace Prize this summer, who is sitting there going, you know what? I want to nominate President Trump for it. And they said, no. We're going to give it to you. We are going to give you the Nobel Peace Prize. Well, what did she do? She was just at the White House and she gave it to President Trump. How cool and how amazing is that? So President Trump is bringing about peace across the world. And once again, with the FAFO policy of having the big stick and making sure that there's true freedom and true prosperity for everybody, and small governance, not big, small governance across the world, in common law, natural law being acknowledged, being the actual supreme law of the land as it was defined. This is amazing what people are enjoying and what's catching up. And so I mentioned about the metal wars, right? The metal wars that are going off the chart, it's just going off the charts. Now, here's where I see it. And we're going to talk about the 27 grand gold very shortly. I see between now and February 1st to 2nd, 375 an ounce silver. Because let me just recap once again. COMEX had 41 million ounces of silver deliveries on contract already in the first 2 weeks of this year. And this is not what's called a primary delivery month. And I said that this is about President Trump's royal flush. Now, if you're a poker player, you know the royal flush is the winning hand. Nothing could beat the royal flush. So when we look at this from a Jassara standpoint, we are on a quantum financial system now. XRP Ledger is the backbone because all of the banks around the world, in order to transact with one another, had to be ISO 20022 compliant, right? And I've covered that in many, many shows. And what you've also seen that's happened is the discussion, wide open discussion with regards to that about XRP. Now, I have a video in here of the man, Elon, talking about where he believes X is going to go. And we know in the background exactly what is going to be running that. And thankfully for all of you here, you get a feeling of precisely what that is right now. Here's Elon in an interview just a couple of months ago discussing where X is planning to go.
If done right, X would serve people's financial needs to such a degree that over time it would become, I don't know, maybe half of the global financial system. Wow. Or some big number. Okay. I'm not sure what the number is, but pretty big. So it would be by far the biggest sort of financial institution. But like I said, not really in the way that people are used to thinking about banks. Mm-hmm. Just the most efficient database for the thing that is money. I said, like, least amount of fraud, everything's real time. And if it involves money in any way, it can be dealt with seamlessly on one location. Essentially,
So what we're seeing from Elon here, let me just move this back, is I believe he's talking about XRP Ledger. And there's no other ledger, by the way. I mean, just a way to disseminate, or a way to use discernment in looking at information and go, well, they can't be talking about XRP Ledger and RippleNet. Okay, then what could he be talking about? What allows for millions to billions of transactions to settle around the globe in less than 2 seconds? What else is the backbone that is on a quantum computer? Now, when you look at that, all things being equal, you go back to economics, right? Ceteris paribus. That's what is taught in our very first couple of economics classes, right? Doing honors ec over at Wilfrid Laurier. Ceteris paribus and the Pareto principle, the 80-20 rule is the Pareto principle, and ceteris paribus, all things being equal. So let's look at this, right? Just go, let me think about this, Brad. So Elon is talking about an ability to have the world's largest banking system using the platform of X. X hooked to Starlink, X now on T-Mobile. So if you have a T-Mobile plan, you can do satellite anywhere in the world off of Starlink. You can be in the backcountry. You don't have to worry about those other type of walkie-talkies. You can ping a Starlink satellite on your iPhone. Amazing. And now he's opening this up for billions of people to do their banking on X. And what allows you to do that? The XRP ledger, which is the backbone in quantum computing, where it can tokenize all digital assets back and forth. And remember, Bitcoin is not ISO 20022 compliant. So once again, to me, Bitcoin is that paper fiat currency that you're seeing that's going to go vaporize because it's not constitutional. Constitutional, remember, is the Coinage Act of 1792, Philadelphia Mint, which I just showed you earlier in the beginning here about the U.S. Mint is a bureau of the United States Treasury, and the United States Treasury just priced the U.S. Mint of silver on Friday at 173 an ounce right after trading, and Shanghai reacted and went, well, we were selling for 101, but now we'll sell it for 120 an ounce. And now tomorrow, markets are going to open up. It's about to open up overseas right now in a few short hours. They're going to go ballistic, and LBMA and the London vaults are pretty much gone with silver. And then we haven't even talked about the tariffs. Before we want to go into that, a component of Jassara is also the security of your people. And what we have seen, which is truly amazing, and God bless his soul, as well as God bless his soul, Secretary Kennedy, RFK Jr., just celebrated his birthday on Friday. And what was amazing about that man is he said, he was blowing out candles in his picture on HHS, blowing out candles for his birthday. He goes, but eat steak, not cake. And part of Jassara that we're seeing right now, here we are, is this. So in Quebec, here's your health minister. In Canada, here's your health minister. In Belgium, here's your health minister. And in America, here's the guy who is running HHS, who happens to wear X39 and be absolutely amazing, right? What an incredible man. So going back to anybody who is like this. If they're like this, they're gone. They're, like Q said, 4 to 6% gone forever. Unfortunately, there's a lot more of that in China and Venezuela. So you're either voting for, complete totalitarianism and Satanism on the bottom, or freedom and liberty and peace and prosperity for the rest of your lives and generations to come on top, or you're voting for Secretary Kennedy when you want to go with the America First policies rather than all these other fat slobs you see up here on the screen who are also part of the World Economic Satanic Forum. So that's where we are. Somebody said in the chat, Sean Phillips, China has repriced pandas at 177 an ounce silver. Wow, that's amazing. Nicely done. So Black Swan event, right? Here you are. You're at 85% immediate overnight after markets closed by the United States government said this is what silver is now. We're probably because they're pissed off and tired of seeing CME and COMEX, sit here with their prices and their contract calls so they can bring in this incredible power, right? Remember, security on that national security level, silver is nationalized. And for President Trump to sit here and go, you know what? This is an extreme economic requirement and is part of an executive order to make this a critical asset for America. And once again, I got a little bit more LOLs here for you with Doug Ford. Druggy Ford, this is from Sarah Connor. Amazing, amazing account on Twitter X and Telegram. Folks, your health is my priority. So there you go. You have another fat slob, a known drug user, heavy drug user, wearing the muzzle. Definitely likes the S&M there for sure, right? First is this. the great healthcare plan, which is part of GESARA for all you Americans. What's amazing about this healthcare plan, and a nice little synopsis of it, is the American federal government is giving you money, upwards of $15,000 per American, to go shop for their own healthcare. So they're slashing, it says lower drug prices, slashing prescription drug prices, allowing more over-the-counter medicines, lower insurance premiums, where they send the money directly to the American people. That's the very bold subheadline right here on the screen. Send the money directly to the American people. And it literally reads this: stop sending big insurance companies billions in extra taxpayer-funded subsidy payments, and instead send that money directly to eligible Americans to allow them to buy the health insurance of their choice. It can cutting the kickback costs, ending kickbacks from pharmacy benefit managers to large brokerage middlemen that deceptively raise the cost of health insurance, and holding big insurance companies accountable, creating the plain English insurance standard, which says require health insurance companies to publish rate and coverage comparisons up front on their websites in plain English, not industry jargon, so consumers can make better insurance purchasing decisions, and publish costs of overhead versus claim payments, and post prices on the wall. So it says maximize price transparency, require any healthcare provider or insurer who accepts either Medicare or Medicaid to publicly and prominently post their pricing and fees to avoid surprise medical bills. So they're getting rid of the $500 Band-Aid. If you've ever had, like I've had an experience with my father-in-law, it was a Blue Cross Blue Shield experience, I believe that was, and they're charging $500 for a Band-Aid. Now we know J&J Band-Aids actually have cancer in the Band-Aids. They have been successfully sued twice, J&J, for putting asbestos in the baby powder, right? And then, of course, they were sued once, proved it, settled, but they never stopped it, and they kept putting asbestos in the baby powder. And what was the other thing? Oh, yeah, glyphosate and Roundup, which is where it comes from in Monsanto. So they are ending all of that. And do you notice this is going back to not only supreme law of the land and keeping it simple, that's actually sovereign. It is outside the legal jargon, which is the BAR, the British Accreditation Registry, which is right there in the city of London. That is Admiralty Maritime Law, Law of the Sea of Piracy. They are going back to the supreme law of the land, keeping it simple and keeping it truthful, and do no harm. And if you do harm, well, guess what? There's an FA and an FO, which is incredible, right? So the antithesis of the Satanism that you saw from all those fat slobs and woke, literal, Kabbalistic mobsters is truth, and making food great again, and eating real food, which is incredible, and making the mustache great again. If you saw the incredible campaigns just in the last week, the milk mustache is back. We had Dr. Ben Carson, President Trump, Secretary Kennedy sitting there going on their campaign saying, make whole milk great again. Drink whole milk, not pasteurized, because now we know what pasteurized is in skim. It's incredible. So it's truly, truly amazing. Wendy just said, I saw that fly silver swan, fly high, God frequency will destroy the banksters. Exactly. The God frequency and gold and silver is God's money, right? And we just have an opportunity coming at it from benevolence to partake in this. So it's really wonderful. And we've got Wendy here. Thank you for your wonderful, informative program. Truly appreciate that as well. So Kim, Wisconsin, great to see you here. Fantastic. Going to continue to move on here, everybody, just for the time, so we can squeeze this out. We can get this done in about an hour on the Send It Sunday, everyone worldwide. And thanks, everyone, too, in Rumble. See a couple of familiar handles that are over here. United Non-Compliance. I totally love it. South Africa in the chat. Wonderful to see you, Harris Schultz. The American Alliance is upcoming. Gulf of America, 702 Jeff. Fungarian, that is amazing. And we have Bob 501. Fantastic. Yeah. Thank you so much. And by the way, if you're enjoying the show, please hit a like, put a comment on it as well. It gets us out there. It still brings us up in the algorithms. Remember, only got this YouTube channel back 2 months ago. So this is pretty powerful. Let me continue here with more on the Black Swan event you're all living through. And again, why I believe we're going to be at 397 silver in the next 2 weeks. And again, that's my belief, but it's based off of all of the indicators and the evidence right now. Number one, where's that belief come from? Mathematically speaking, when you just look back and you cost average on a daily growth rate of the silver price just in the last 9 days, and especially since Friday and its growth, you surpass 397 an ounce by February 1st. That's incredible if you're doing it at that growth rate. Wild. Number two, we're in a cosmic shift. We are actually in an alignment from an astrological standpoint with the Saturn-Venus conjunction that's just happened. I know this might be a little bit way out there for certain people, and that is actually shattering the paradigms. And we're in the new 9-year complete sovereign and freedom aspect of the calendar. Not Kali Yuga, but the Sat Yuga is where we are right now, which is literally where it breaks down all the barriers, like the collapse of the Soviet Union, right? And returning it back to Russia after the Bolshevik Revolution, which is part of the Khazarian mafia mob that was brought back, that were originally going back to the Babylonian Empire, where Cyrus the Great from Persia, Iran, came in and tried to destroy and took down the towers of Babylon. What was going on there once again? Child sacrifice, men dressing as women, and vice versa. All there. And this is where we are, because we saw the Cyrus the Great experience with the assassination attempt in Pennsylvania on President Trump, and you saw the incredible biblical nature. So you are living in a biblical time, and it is freaking amazing in this golden age for the planet, including the golden dome of sovereignty and freedom and peace all across the Western Hemisphere, which is truly, truly magnificent. So let's continue on here and get back to the financial side, because everybody that has been, as we all know, the greatest form of enslavement is the financial, from a debt enslavement standpoint, right? So once again, here's a beautiful screenshot, and props to Grok doing this screenshot. And I'm going to cover off with the US debt clock verifications for you. The Black Swan event, and has a white swan sitting on a pile of gold and silver coins coming down from the heavens, which I think is pretty beautiful. So well done. Good on you, Grok, for generating that. But where we're going here is we want to talk about Greenland for a moment, from the economic and the financial security and the military security. So US Debt Clock posted this on January 16th. Fort Greenland, America's Arctic sanctuary, 2.3 trillion. Notice that here in the photograph, the picture from US Debt Clock, $2.3 trillion in value. So just imagine the assets in the ground of the rare earth production, oil and gas and precious and strategic metals net worth is $2.3 trillion. So that is very powerful from a standpoint that it speaks to the Monroe Doctrine, and once again, to securing peace, eternal peace. And President Trump has that. Remember, eternal peace. He keeps speaking about eternal peace, not peace for the rest of his administration, eternal peace. And what did we see at New Year's in the Ball? He and the First Lady of the United States, Melania Trump, walked into Hi-Yo Silver, being played from the Lone Ranger. And here she is in a silver dress. And that is going to destroy the Fed. It's pretty much gone right now. And here's a great meme about silver. Now, what's awesome about this, a little tongue in cheek, right? The man comes home and he bought a whole bunch of silver at $20 and he's getting berated by his wife. And then all of a sudden it goes to 84 in the middle part of this side by side says, it's our silver. And all of a sudden it hits 300, which it's about to do. And she goes, my silver. So, conduct yourself accordingly, gentlemen. Conduct yourself accordingly, right? I think that's hilarious. If you like those memes, post a thumbs up. It's awesome when people are showing it and sharing it. Now on the quantum financial system, just sorry where we are right now. Here it is from Binance posting this on New Year's Day at, what is the timestamp here? 10:07 a.m. 1 January 26, Binance.us, New Year, new financial system. So now they are one of the largest crypto exchanges on the planet and US based, and they're just telling you exactly what it's about. Since I've been telling you, Caroline Pham been showing you some of her posts as well, getting it out there for all of you, which is truly awesome and remarkable. Part of the thumbnail that you all see here is President Trump riding the XRP rocket. I didn't make this one up. I don't recall who did, and we've used it a few times on the thumbnails in the show here. It's just awesome, but that's exactly where it's going, right? And that just is a comm for XRP to the moon. Where are we right now? Just moments ago before coming on, what the US debt clock had also posted, and I've got a screenshot of it for you right here. Today's post, just 2 hours ago, the no-brainer. This or that. And the this or that is 3% versus 23%. And here's what that reads, because it's a little small in the print. On the left side, this 3%, sovereign, citizen, bankless card, the new 50-state credit union banks. It has a $1,000 emblem on it. It has certain digital asset token images on it. And then it even shows the Florida Credit Union with the American flag. Now, why Florida? Because we saw it posted, and I shared it on a last Send It Sunday last week, that Austin is replacing San Francisco for technology. Austin, Texas will be the new Silicon Valley homebed, and Wall Street in New York is gone. It's moving to Miami. So that makes a lot of sense that they have Florida on here versus credit card interest of 23% monthly. The banking cartel on the right side, an indentured servant card is what it says. Region 352C. It's even got the BIS logo and the World Bank down in the left-hand corner, and it calls it legal tender. Not lawful, right? Legal tender. And it's got the chip inside it for tracking and the fingerprint for the digital ID on the card in that image. So this is a very powerful image, because what did President Trump just do last week that I mentioned to you on the previous Sunday show? He also removed the credit card interest from 30% down to a flat 10%, and no longer can you charge it. So remember, people are being charged 19% usury rates up to 26% monthly, depending on the type of loan that they have. That is up to 256% annualized interest that they're paying, right? And the card you see on the right, 23%, the photograph in the middle is a globe with the logo for the International Monetary Fund, the IMF. So it's showing you here, right before your face. In the top left-hand corner of the card, it's got a shaka ball and chain. In the top right-hand corner of that green card, indentured servant card, it's got an octopus. In the bottom right-hand corner, it has the head of Baphomet. It's all there right in front of everybody's faces, linked in, that the Black Swan event is what you're living through this weekend. And we're 2 days away from celebrating the inauguration of 47. January 20th coming up. And on January 30th, we have Melania Trump's film hits theaters everywhere, and that will be completely full of comms. It's truly amazing, dear souls, where we're living here and the times that we're involved in. So let me tell you about the $27,000 an ounce gold. And I've shared this one already before, and we'll go back for all the new ones. This comes directly from Robert Kiyosaki himself. Remember, Robert Kiyosaki is a United States Marine Corps combat veteran, known for the Rich Dad, Poor Dad books. And Kiyosaki on November 9th, just over 9 weeks ago, predicted its market crash again. The big crash is coming, and he's betting $27,000 on gold. And I'll take you right over to Kiyosaki's own post, and I'll read out to you exactly what he says in his own words. So let me just remove the last one I had and put this up. StreamYard only allows 10 images or videos at a time. Spinning both both plates here, everybody. Here it is. Crash coming. Why I am buying, not selling. My target price for gold is $27,000. I got this price from my friend Jim Rickards, and I own 2 gold mines. I began buying gold in 1971, the year Nixon took gold from the US dollar. Nixon violated Gresham's law, which states when fake money enters the system, real money goes into hiding. So here you have $27,000 an ounce gold. Now, back to metallurism. The Philadelphia Mint and the Coinage Act of 1792. Constitutional money has metallurism at 15-1. You see a typical relationship of gold to silver of 8-1. So you're seeing the ratio of gold to silver, which over the last several years, since the lockdown pandemics, 2 weeks to flatten the curve is now 6 years later, and you still have people like this walking around China to Venezuela, saying, men with orange hair bad. I love to be euthanized. So here we have it. Back to go off. I digress for a moment. So here we have it on the ratio of gold to silver coming down massively. So we have to have silver come up to meet gold. And as a result of that, that's also going to snap. You have a number of factors on that once again, right? You have supply and demand. We just saw the massive, again, metal wars going on between China and the rest of the world. So 70% of the silver supply is restricted, halted from exports in the market. This is also why, preempting that, President Trump made silver a critical mineral for the strategic supply of silver. And I showed Department of War Secretary Hegseth where they've already pumped in $5 billion to a $7 billion project to have their own smelter, the Department of War, so that it can smelt concentrates from different rare earth materials that are required in military applications themselves to be 100% self-reliant. And if you're 100% self-reliant, you are 100% sovereign. You do not need to bend a knee to anybody when you are 100% self-reliant. And Kim in Wisconsin says, yeah, God's money is the only way. Absolutely agree with you. Fantastic on that. So everybody, you are living in the best time to be alive right now. You're going through some volatility. Yes, we know that. We've got that. We're all going through that as well. My bank accounts haven't been restored that China seized all those years ago. Many others as well. Norman is at the Swiss hotel receives care there based on the multiple attacks that he just had, physical attacks. He was attacked on Tuesday, right? Again, chest pain, bleeding from the ears. And then as he was leaving and getting away, slipped on ice, smashed his head on the sidewalk. So he's in decent shape now. So everybody doesn't have to worry about that. But prayers to everybody all around, right? Whether it's Jake Lang in Minnesota, all the cleanup is going and the tribunals will continue. But the currency failure has massively expedited. So take care of yourself. And if we find out tomorrow morning that it's true, that there are banks that are blocking gold and silver buys, I would not want to be the woman in the household finding that she's waking up and deciding to make that movement and goes, all right, well, it was ours at 84. I wanted to do more. So now it's just all mine. A little bit of a joke there. But yeah, 47 sworn in on Jan 20th. Just fantastic. So here we are coming up on the 1-year anniversary. And we have the final in a 6-day Q Delta onslaught. The final day is tomorrow on January 19th. It's so powerful. It's amazing, everybody. And it's an incredible time to be alive. Thank you, everybody, being here in the audience. Truly appreciate it because you've just seen President Trump's royal flush. You know you are in Jasara. You know that the 51st state's going to happen. The movement is there. It's solid. It's all locked in, that there is the independence movement and the freedom in Alberta. And once again, we are living in the greatest age to be alive. I can't stop saying that enough, despite what it may look like and feel like. And trust me, I'm going through it too. But you've got the signs, you've got the discernment, you've got the intuition, and you are in the greatest spiritual awakening of our civilization and our species in thousands and thousands of years, and I would actually say ever on this earth plane. So thank you all. Please like it. Please drop a comment. Please share this out here. It helps us with the algorithms. We'll get back to you this week with another show. And in the meantime, for all of you who have an opportunity, jump on to buddhaloveschool.com and get going. Get going before your silver goes from 173 an ounce now to $397, then to $1188, and then to $5,346 like I predicted 2 shows ago. We'll see you later. All right, you sovereign souls, now is the time to protect your money with gold and silver if you already have not. And if you are and you have a chance to do so, I highly encourage to do so even more, because gold and silver will launch the golden age, which Commander-in-Chief Trump has continuously referenced.
The dollar is going down, and it's not a pretty picture, and it's not being sustained by proper policy and proper thinking. This was an opportunity, and maybe an opportunity to show people what's happening with the dollar so that we can do something about it.
Get some if you can. BuddhaLovesGold.com will take you to our partner Goldco. They have over 6,000 5-star reviews. This is why now is the time to buy gold and silver, because we have thousands of Americans buying gold today. The rising inflation has reduced our purchasing power. Dysfunctional politics don't work for us. The US dollar has lost over 97% of its value since 1913, while the price of gold has increased over 9,000%. Silver has fared well against the dollar too, with the silver price increasing over 4,500% since 1913. It's about wealth protection. Physical precious metals act as a hedge against dips in volatile markets. Go over to BuddhaLovesGold.com. That's www.BUDDHA, BuddhaLovesGold.com. You will download your free silver and gold guide today, and our great people over there at Goldco will take care of you. That's BuddhaLovesGold.com. You'll see a picture of me right on there, Brad Wozny. And once again, BRICS is the new financial system. Asset-backed precious metals is the way of the future. This is about financial control. Diversifying your assets with gold and silver puts you in control of your wealth at BuddhaLovesGold.com.